Hello, this is Haxage here. I'm covering in this video a topic which has not really been understood or explained up to this point, and that is how weapon spawning works in Star Fox Assault. This video is probably mostly of use for competitive players of Star Fox Assault. The reason being, it's very important to know at any point what weapons are on the map, what weapons could be on the map, and just in general the mechanics of the game, how weapons work, how the spawning system works. The specifics of spawning are different for every map. In this video, I'm going to use Simple Map 1 as an example. The concepts I cover in this video can be applied to every other map, it's just that some numbers are different. The reason that specifics are different for every map is that all maps have a maximum number of weapons and a total number of weapons. And those numbers differ for every map. The total number of weapons is the number of spawns on the map, the number of possible weapons on the map. On Simple Map 1, that number is 10. There are 10 weapons which could appear on Simple Map 1. The maximum number of weapons is the maximum number of weapons which could be available at any given time. On Simple Map 1, the number of weapons that are on the map will never exceed 5. It's 5 or less. So we have these three lists here, and I've given each weapon in this diagram a letter code, just A through J. So those weapons could be anything, doesn't matter what those codes refer to. I'm just using these letters so it makes them easier to differentiate. And we have these three lists. List 1 is the list of weapons which are already spawned. They're on the map, they're spawned, they are able to be picked up by players. List 2 is the list of weapons that have been picked up and are counting down. I'll go into this in detail a little more later. Once a weapon is picked up, it is placed into list 2 and it receives a timer that starts at 20 seconds. The important thing you need to know about list 2 is that once a weapon is in list 2, as long as that weapon is in list 2, it will not spawn, no matter what happens. List 3 is the list of weapons which are ready to spawn, which could spawn, but are not spawned yet. So, this is what the game looks like when the game starts. The maximum number of weapons will spawn when a game starts. It's totally random which weapons are chosen. And the rest of the weapons which are not spawned are placed in list 3, in the ready list. Now, say the game starts, some player picks up weapon A. Doesn't matter what weapon A is, some player picks up weapon A. That weapon is moved into list 2 and it receives a timer. It starts counting down from 20 seconds. And as long as weapon A is in list 2, it's not going to spawn. As long as that timer is running, weapon A will not spawn. Now, the game says, hey, the number of weapons which are up on the map is less than the maximum number of weapons, so I'm going to move a weapon from list 3, from the ready list, into list 1. I'm going to make a random weapon spawn, and this is important too. It picks a weapon at random from list 3. So in this case, it's going to pick weapon H. Weapon H is moved from list 3 into list 1, and it spawns. Weapon H is now available to be picked up. So now, say a player is going to pick up another weapon. Say a little bit of time has gone past, a few seconds have gone past, and a player picks up weapon B. Weapon B, exactly the same thing happens to weapon B. Weapon B is moved from list 1 into list 2. So weapon B will not spawn as long as it is in list 2 again, and it has a timer associated with it. Again, it starts at 20 seconds. It starts counting down from 20 seconds. Now, the game says, hey, we need another weapon on the map because the number of weapons that is on the map has again dropped below the maximum number of weapons. So it picks another weapon at random from list 3 and it moves it into list 1. In this case, it's weapon F. This is why it's very important to know when things are picked up. Because if you picked up weapon A, say weapon A is missiles, that's pretty important. You want to get as many missiles as you can. So you pick up weapon A and you run over and pick up weapon B, maybe weapon B is grenades or something, hoping that weapon B will trigger weapon A to spawn again. But it can't, because weapon A is not in list 3. Weapon A is not going to spawn for as long as that timer is running down. So if you wanted weapon A to spawn again, you would have to wait at least 20 seconds and then pick up something, and then there would be a chance that weapon A might spawn again. But even that is not a sure thing, again, because it's picking randomly from list 3. So eventually, what happens when the timers run out? Well, let's see, some time passes here, and eventually weapon A's timer will run out. We'll get to 0 seconds. When it gets to 0 seconds, very simple, weapon A is moved from list 2 into list 3. So weapon A becomes available to spawn. So it won't spawn because the number of weapons that is on the map is at the maximum currently, but it is available to spawn. Same thing will happen with weapon B. Weapon B's timer is going to run out. It's going to be moved in from list 2 into list 3. So all of the weapons in list 3 are available to be spawned. Weapons A and B are once again available to be spawned. Now you might be wondering, what happens if list 3 runs out? And this is actually a scenario which can occur on Simple Map 1, as the map is very small and a lot of weapons are being picked up at any given time. Well, it's pretty simple to start out with. Say somebody picks up all the weapons on the map simultaneously. Obviously, this could never happen. This would never happen in a real game, but let's say just for demonstration purposes, this is what happens. All the weapons which are on the map, H, F, C, D, and E, they all get put into list 2. They all have timers associated with them, so none of these weapons will spawn again. And the game says, hey, we don't have the maximum number of weapons available on the map, so I'm going to start filling up list 1. I'm going to start spawning weapons until either the maximum is hit or list 3 is empty, whichever comes first. So in this case, all the weapons from list 3 are moved into list 1. All the weapons become available, become spawned. Now, let's say a little bit of time passes, somebody picks up something else. Say somebody picks up weapon A. What's going to happen? Well, weapon A is moved into list 2, the timer starts, but now, since the timers for all the other weapons are still counting down, and since list 3 is still empty, nothing spawns. So the game says, I would spawn something, but I can't because no weapons are ready to be spawned yet. The timers have not run out for them. So some time is going to pass eventually, and all of those timers are going to hit 0 seconds. So they're all going to be moved into list 3. And immediately, when they're moved into list 3, the game says, hey, these weapons have become available. So now I can fulfill the maximum number of weapons again. I can move weapons from list 3 into list 1. So it does that. It, again, randomly picks a weapon and moves it into list 1. It picks weapon C in this case. And then eventually, weapon A's timer will run out again, and things will return to equilibrium, sort of, where weapons will be waiting to be spawned in list 3, weapons will be available in list 1. Obviously, in real games, this is not how things go because you can't pick up weapons all simultaneously. So you'll get something that looks more like this in list 2, where the times are a little bit staggered. So somebody, say, picks up weapon C, picks up G, then B, then I, then J, all in some, at some varying degrees. Those weapons are acquired by players. So what this means is that things actually will get put into list 3 in a fairly predictable order. For example, here, obviously, weapon C is going to go into list 3 first. So that means, in this state, if you were to pick up a weapon, weapon C would always spawn in its place, no matter what you picked up. So this makes it kind of possible to predict what is going to come up at any point. If you've been paying careful attention to the order in which things are picked up and you time it right, you can get certain things to spawn at exactly the times you want them to. However, the window is very small because, as you can see, it's usually a fairly small gap between people picking things up, and you have to keep track of your opponent's weapons, keep track of what weapons your opponent's been picking up as well. And as time goes by, list 3 will become more and more populated with weapons. So now, if you pick up a weapon, either C or G is going to spawn. And that's a little less predictable. And again, as time goes by, more and more things get moved from list 2 into list 3. So now it could be weapon C, G, or B. So you can sort of predict it. It's somewhat difficult, but you will see players who have been playing for a really long time and have gotten used to the way the weapon spawning system works. You will see them actually sort of calling it, like heading to spawns, saying this has to be up now, and indeed things are there, and it'll happen more than, you know, it's more than an even chance that that will be the case. And it's not because they're psychic, it's not because they're hacking, it's because they just know from experience. They can just time by feel what is going to come up and what timers have run out. One other thing bears mentioning before I end this video, and that is items. Items work exactly the same way as weapons, although they're dissociated with the weapon system. In addition to this, the maximum number of items which can be on the map is much, much lower than the maximum number of weapons. In fact, in 1v1, usually only one item is up at any one time. And I say usually because I'm not sure, there may be some other maps that permit 2 items at once. So yeah, only one item up at once. This makes maps like Simple Map 1 really, really easy to run items on, because if you can pick up all the items on the map in less than 20 seconds, you know exactly which items are going to come up, you know in which order they're going to come up, you can be there immediately as it spawns. So for example, say you start at the barrier on Simple Map 1. You pick up the barrier, and then you proceed to pick up the rest of the health packs that are on Simple Map 1. If you can do that in less than 20 seconds, the barrier is going to be there waiting for you. Not even that. You are going to be waiting there for the barrier when the barrier spawns. So that's pretty dangerous. That's a difficult item run to shut down. Furthermore, Falco is the only character that can do that. Falco is the only character that can pick up all the items on Simple Map 1 in less than 20 seconds. This, in my opinion, points to the fact that we need to re-examine the status of Simple Map 1, re-examine its balancing. That's pretty hard proof. And I say Falco is the only character. Obviously, Wolf can do it as well, but Wolf is banned in competitive play anyway. So there you go. That about covers everything I have for this video. I hope this has been informative. I hope you can apply this to your games. So I wish you good luck in your SFA games, and see you next time.